In the seminar, we covered some pedagogy and things to consider when you are faced with a non-equipped classroom situation or learning environment, which touches on kind of rethinking the space of your classroom. We did some brainstorming about what do you consider to be a quote-unquote classroom, what do you consider to be quote-unquote technology, to get the participants in the seminar outside of that traditional four walls and instructors standing in front of a projection screen and computer. And from there we talk through some of the pedagogy and what you might consider when you are faced with that situation, maybe a panic situation, maybe one where you can prepare for it a little bit and plan for what you might do if you don't have technology in your classroom, or if you were thinking to incorporate it and you all of a sudden don't have access to it. We walked through 3 different case scenarios that were bring the technology into the classroom, access the technology online, or bring your students or your class to the technology, and then going along with that to parallel that 3 different classroom situations, real life classroom situations that might respond to those. So the 3 scenarios that we did, or the options for what to do if you're in a non-equipped classroom, were to bring the technology in, and with that David did a presentation and a video about our iPad mobile kit, where you could do some planning, do some storyboarding, some preparation for bringing that technology into the classroom in a very easy way that could even mean you would be sitting out on the grass. It doesn't have to be in this preconceived 4-wall classroom space to do multimedia collaboration and creation that is contained within one device. Jonathan did a video and a brief overview of reusable learning objects, different types of tools. That's a version of a blended or a hybrid, or maybe even going as far to say mainly online way of teaching and learning, to do maybe what we would call the flip instruction, and take part of what the learning and the teaching you want to do in the classroom and move that online, and then use your classroom space as a space for preparation or discussion after that. And the third one was video and web conferencing, so taking your students to the facility to access resources or connections with people or information that they wouldn't be able to access in an equipped classroom or really any other type of environment. They left with information about and different options about what they might consider, from low threshold, very easy to implement, turn around and do something with the blackboard, or use paper, or do something in a very what we would consider low tech type of way, to a high threshold, maybe high technology, high overhead option that they could consider. So I think a lot of different options for rethinking how to incorporate that type of technology into a non-equipped classroom. Also resources and some brainstorming ideas for thinking about rethinking and reconceptualizing their teaching space and maybe even their teaching style, because this is part of a larger discussion about how do we get ourselves out of this repetitive and circular motion of always thinking about the classroom in a particular way, and is that the best way that serves our students? Is that the best way that serves our instruction? So I think those were the 2 main takeaways. There were some surprises when we did some of the brainstorming, that everybody automatically went to I would find the equipment, or I would rent something, or I'd check something out from the AV pool, or I would bring in my own computer. And the thought process around incorporating the technology was somewhat of a repetition of just going to find the technology. And we got an opportunity to talk about to expand that space a little bit, and rethinking, there are hybrid and blended course versions that you can consider. There are ways you could maybe consider taking part of what you want to do in class online or to a different facility. So I think it was surprising that the default for everybody really was just to find and replace the technology that they were lacking in the classroom. I think that technology is becoming more and more important, and I think both students and instructors have the expectation that will be integrated into the classroom, that they will have access to that. There's sort of the real-time response mechanism that students like about that. The instructors are used to teaching that way. It's becoming very important for professional reasons as you're presenting yourself and you're teaching, and to have a certain facility with teaching technology. So I think from the instructional development end, that is very well integrated. I think that also hybrid courses, blended courses, doing a mixed version of working in a classroom space and an online space, or a reconceived classroom hybrid space is more common, and I think teaching and learning is going that way, and that should be something that people are familiar with. The seminar series for the next two, we are going to continue with, in March, collaborative learning spaces, so touching on some of the undiscovered treasures tools that we didn't get a chance to expand upon so far, and we want to do some brainstorming with people and give them ideas. And in April, that is going to wrap up the series for this year, we'll talk about personal and professional development, integrating professional teaching technology, learning technology with your actual instructional technology that you're using in your classroom, and how you can synthesize all of those different components and maybe present what you've been working on and what you have familiarity with.